What's up, everyone? Okay, so we're going to use a financial economy to better understand our behavioral system. Now, I know that might sound complex up front, but it's really not. Okay, we've made it as simple as possible. And you're already familiar with a financial economy and how it works, right? That's why we've used this as the framework so that we can better understand our behavior. Now, here are the basics of an economy, as you know it, right? A financial economy. First thing we need to do is get some money, right? How do we do that? Well, we work. Assuming we're not gifted anything, we need to work for it, right? And this requires time and attention, which we'll get into. But first thing we need to do is earn an income, okay? So we work, we get money. Now that we have our money, what do we do with it? Well, we have necessary expenditures, okay? Everyone has these. These are rent, these are food, these are bills, all of these things, and this is going to differ from person to person, but at the end of the day, we all have things we need to spend on. Okay, so after that, then we have a little bit less money, and we can really do three things with this. Okay, first one is to spend unnecessarily, right? This is on luxury items like cars, watches, diamonds, whatever, things you don't need, and because otherwise these would be here, right? And this isn't necessarily including things like entertainment or things that might help you feel better about who you are, your day. Anything that will go towards mental health, I would consider necessary. So these are really completely unnecessary things you don't need to be spending your money on, right? So that's the first way you can spend your leftover money. Next thing you can do is save, okay? When we save this, let's say it's at the end of the month, we have earned a profit of $1,000. If we save that, it's $1,000 at the end of a year. If that keeps up, it's going to be 12,000, right? So it's a linear progression here. Okay, so that's the second thing we can do. And the third thing, if we really want to profit, which again is the goal of understanding an economy, is to gain profit, then we can invest. Okay, and the reason this is the best way to profit is because this is an exponential trend, right? If we think about what an investment is, it's really an input, upfront input of time and effort, figuring out the right company to invest in, things like that. Then you buy stocks, and eventually your money starts making you more money, right? And let's say it's, you profit the same 1,000, but instead of saving it, you put it here, 5% interest year over year, whatever. Eventually it accrues, and compound interest gives you a lot more money. Okay, so that's really it. You work, earn your money, you got to spend some. Now what do you do with the leftover? You can either spend it again unnecessarily, you can save it, get linear income, or you can invest it and get exponential income, right? So this is the best way to profit in an economy. And this is, of course, just completely conceptual. Obviously in real life there's risk and all that stuff, but we don't need to go into that. It's strictly conceptual right here, okay? So now that we understand what this really means, and we're effectively primed, let's look at how that translates to the EBC. As you can see, it's literally the same thing, right? The same exact thing, and we're gonna go over what each of these are right now, okay? So work in the EBC is replenishing our willpower, okay? It's replenishing our willpower because willpower is our money. It's what we use to perform really difficult tasks like these important emails or random things we have to tackle in life, these extra decisions that come on a daily basis, where the goal of this economy, profit in this economy, is to intend the way, excuse me, is to behave the way you intend to, okay, right? This is the goal of an economy, is to profit. Now, in the financial economy, money pretty much just gives us the freedom or the ability to create the life we want a little bit better than if we didn't have that money, right? So this really gets rid of that middleman, and there's no more translation needed from, hey, I have money, now I can buy the life I want. This is literally, hey, I'm behaving the way I intend to, okay? So that's our goal in this economy, is behave the way you intend to. All right, now let's walk through this progression. You wake up, right? You've just slept, which is a great way to replenish your willpower. Sleeping and eating are the two primary ways we do this. So you just woke up, and that increases your willpower. Okay, you start your day, you have your willpower right here. Throughout the day, you got to spend on certain things. You got to pick up your kid from daycare, you have to make breakfast, whatever it is, right? These daily tasks that are not necessarily repeatable, but that happen, right? So we have to spend our willpower on some things. And as we make more decisions, our willpower gets depleted. And this is proven time and time again. We're gonna dive deeper into the science in the bonus sections just because not everyone's interested in that. But here it's just gonna be really, really simple. Our willpower gets depleted as we make decisions, okay? So we have a little bit less willpower later in the day. And we can, again, use this in three primary ways. We can spend unnecessarily, and we do this by things like worrying, having a messy environment, operating in that, tempting ourselves. All of these things deplete our willpower, okay? So if we want to profit more effectively, we don't want to spend unnecessarily, right? We don't want to worry about things we can't control. We want to operate in an organized environment to save our willpower. And we don't want to, for example, and this kind of gets more into saving, but we don't want to buy cookies and then have to tempt ourselves at home all the time, right? We want to say no in the store and do something what we call decide up the decision delta. So that brings us to the second thing we can do with our money, right? Our willpower money is we can save it, right? And the way we do that is by reducing trivial or redundant decisions, things that don't really matter to us. For example, the socks that we wear. I mean, maybe they matter to you, but to me, it doesn't really matter what socks I wear. So if I have 5 different pairs that I have to choose from every single day or match them up when I'm doing laundry, those are little decisions that I don't want to make day after day or week after week whenever I do laundry, right? So I have all black socks so that I never have to decide which 2 to pair together or which ones to wear that day because they're all effectively the same. So that becomes a non-decision, right? That's how we save our willpower so that we don't have to use it. We can't store it like you would in a financial economy, right? Like we're saving here. This is storing it. We can't do that. We don't hibernate like bears and maybe get all this willpower built up. No, the way our system works, again, we'll get into this in the later section, but the way our system works, we can't store too much of it. So the way we can save in the EBC, Economy of Behavior Control, is by reducing these unnecessary decisions. All right, so that's number 1. Number 2, and the third way, of course, if we want to maximize profit, is to invest. And we do that through deliberate habit creation. Now, the reason for this, and this is a really important concept that I really think you should take the time and the effort to understand, because this is really the moneymaker right here. And so we're gonna go over that right now. The reason that habits are investments, right? If you can, let's just prime ourselves again really quick. Financial economy, we put money in and some time and effort to choose the right stock, all that stuff, right? And eventually it reaches this point where it goes, oh, okay, that's actually a successful investment. Again, risk aside, all that stuff. We're getting paid more and more without further investment of our money, right? If you invest $100, 2 weeks later it's 110, and then that extra 10 starts to compound as well. So that 110 then turns into 130 and so on and so forth. So it continues to increase, your money goes up without further money invested, okay? That same process is gonna take place here, where our profit, if you remember, it's not just more, what would be more willpower here, but it's actually behaving the way we intend to, right? It's thinking, hey, I wanna get stronger, okay, well, I'm going to now work out. It's matching the behavior with the intention. That's our profit here. Now, initially it costs money or willpower to behave the way we intend to. It's difficult, okay, it's getting easier. And now boom, it reaches that point, what scientists call automaticity, where it doesn't require willpower to be performed or maintained. Meaning, we can do this behavior. If it's exercise, we can go to the gym, exercise for an hour without exerting this willpower to make that happen. Yet, we're still getting the benefit, right? Benefit is profit here. We're still getting the psychological, health, physical benefits from doing that behavior, but without the willpower required, okay? And this might seem weird or crazy or unrealistic, but that's only because the behaviors that you're thinking about you want to make become habits aren't habits right now. So they do require this willpower. And if you think about brushing your teeth, right, just to go to a really simple example, you can do that while thinking about something else. And that's a main characteristic of what a habit is you can do it while simultaneously doing another behavior that you're thinking about. So habits require no real-time awareness, but when you were a kid, you weren't born knowing how to brush your teeth, right? You were taught how to do it. You messed up a lot, you didn't want to do it a lot, but eventually you got into a routine where it just becomes so automatic. Your body is literally doing it for you while your mind is elsewhere. We can do that with every single behavior there is. Now, more complex behaviors probably won't be as automatic as brushing your teeth, say, but the same mechanisms at play, so we can still save all of this potential willpower by creating habits. Okay, this is how you invest in the economy of behavior control, and that's how we maximize profit. Because what happens is, typically this is how we go about our day, is we work, right, we sleep, we eat, we get our willpower, and we spend it on a bunch of stuff, and then instead of creating habits, we just go, okay, I'm gonna try to will myself into this existence. But what's happening is that's actually spending, because unless we're doing this deliberately, unless we're trying to gain a specific habit, it's never going to reach that point of automaticity. So it's always going to end up being spending. That's why things don't get, quote, easier if you're not intentional about the way you do it, right? Intention to behavior. We have to be really planned out, really deliberate in our approach to making these behaviors turn into habits. Because if we're not, we're never going to make that happen. So all of that is to say, if we want to maximize profit, if we want to turn our if we want to turn our intention into our behavior, right, we can really achieve this in two ways. We can align intention to behavior in two ways. We can decrease the quality of our intention to match our actual behavior, which is what unfortunately a lot of us do because it's hard to behave the way we intend to. So we make it easier by lowering our expectations, lowering our desires and dreams. But the other way is we can actually keep our intentions as high as possible and move our behavior to meet them, right? And the best, most sustainable, reliable way to do that is by taking advantage of the habit formation system, using our willpower most effectively to create these habits that will give us the benefit without the effort, right? Benefit without the effort. That is how we really take advantage of this system. Okay, I know that was probably a lot for you to take on all at once. So take a break, let that sit, think about how this is kind of going in your life right now and what examples you kind of notice of, oh, hey, maybe that's how I could save, whether I choose the same type of coffee every time or I buy the same types of mugs or plates so that I don't have to decide my kitchenware. I'm sure some of these things will start to come to you throughout the day. And what I would suggest is you watch this video again and again and again at hopefully the same time in the same place so that it becomes easier and easier for you to understand, right? You're putting yourself back in that context. And eventually you will start to understand this. And once this becomes part of your knowledge pool and you really internalize this mechanism, this same financial economy mechanism of what's happening here, right? You're working, you get money, you have to spend something. Now leftover, unnecessary spending, you don't want to do that. You want to save, but that's linear profit, right? That's linear. We don't want that. We want exponential profit. And the way we do that in our lives is by deliberately creating the habits that will benefit us. And that's the other cool thing about this process is it doesn't tell you, hey, these are the 1, 2, 3 behaviors that are going to change your life. It doesn't matter what behavior you want to turn into a habit. It doesn't matter what intention you want to make a reality, because the same mechanism is at play. It always ends up like this. We have a limited supply of our willpower. So the way that we spend it the way that we spend it is really important. We want to use this the most effective way we can. And the way we do that is by investing in our habits.